Good evening, folks. This is Diamond with the Oppenheimer Ranch Project, bringing you a grand solar minimum update on Tuesday, November 13th at 11:06 p.m. Mountain Time 2018. Just 10 days after they reduced the warning level to 3, Agung erupts in Bali just hours ago, sending volcanic ash over a mile into the stratosphere and raising eyebrows on why the volcano department there raised the warning level, lowered the warning level down to 3. These types of bad calls have been made several times in the last several months, and they will be continued to be made because no one is really aware of the cosmic ray influence on these volcanoes and the unpredictable nature of them along the Ring of Fire. We're just beginning to learn the capacity of the cosmic connection to these volcanoes, and the mainstream is certainly not picking up on it. So that's a heads up. Let's get on with the update. We'll be back to the volcano. We're going to start here looking at the Arctic ice thickness because it's at record levels. You can see many areas are reaching over 12 feet thickness here. This is on the Russian margin. In recent years, shipping has been able to get through here. There are no ships getting through ice of this thickness. So we have multi-year ice building here. This is not going to melt. And we have extremely thick ice here, over 4 meters, off the chart in some areas amongst the islands here. That's a heads up. This is record ice, and if you remember the GFS model yesterday from the Northern Hemisphere, this area is going to be covered with a temperature anomaly at the beginning of March at minus 30 to minus 40 degrees right here. That's going to only make this thicker. I can't wait to see how thick it gets and what they're going to say about it. I wasn't going to do any popping noises, so that was a pop light for those wearing headphones. Guys, we have a lot of multidisciplinary science coming tonight. This episode is chock full. Let's start with frigid sunshine. That's a new word. Tuesday in Montana, snow returning. Frigid sunshine. That's going to be a new word we hear. That's a grand solar minimum phrase. 80% frigid sunshine happening on Wednesday. No, that's the precipitation threat, which will probably be in snow up in Montana. But frigid sunshine, I wanted to share that for you. New headline. Frigid sunshine. And that's a boom. It's crazy. That's a new global warming term. Frigid sunshine. Gateway area snowfall breaks record. This is coming from Iowa. Highs in the 40s expected this week, but that does not detract from the fact that they just broke a record going back more than 130 years. The previous record of 7 straight snow days was set January 14th to 20th in 1886. Whew. Way back there. Here we are in 1886, solar minimum of cycle 11. Exactly as the solar forecasting model predicts, and all the climatological records and all of the data. And here we are corroborating it live. Very similar spot and total solar irradiance. In fact, exactly at the same spot cosmogenically as we were back here at solar minimum of 1112. Woo! I love it when a plan comes together. So, very clear evidence of what's happening here at the Gateway area in Iowa. Heads up. I think we have a heads up tonight. Yes, but quite simple. Straight to the point. 6 cold weather records broken in Saskatchewan on Monday. Val-Marie dipped down to minus 43.6 C. Penelope, please stop. That's a lot of records, and that's a lot of cold. Hella cold. Val-Marie was still the coldest spot early Tuesday morning as temperatures were around minus 29 C, warming up. The warm spot in the province was Buffalo Narrows at minus 6 degrees C. Val-Marie was the cold spot. That broke the record of 32.2 C for February 12th, which was set back in 1950 by over 10 degrees C. Isn't that crazy? And this was just cycle 18. Solar cycle 18 in 1950. Right here at this blip on this minimum. Nothing significant, but still in the minimum. But there are 8 cold records broken in Saskatchewan on Monday. And there are some hellish. Oh dear. They've removed the video. I was going to show you some. So records have been broken in Japan. Over 440 centimeters have fallen in the northern regions, and they've removed the video. Guys, it's getting crazy what's happening here. Check this out. Polar vortex defies climate change in the Southeast U.S. Winters in the Southeast have been getting cooler instead of warmer. Oh my God. I wonder what's happening. They're getting colder instead of warmer. Man, they told us it was supposed to get warmer. Overwhelming scientific evidence has demonstrated that our planet is getting warmer due to climate change. This narrative must end. Yet parts of the eastern U.S. are actually getting colder, according to a new study. The location of this anomaly is known as the U.S. warming hole. It's getting crazy, folks. It's a moving target. During the winter and spring, the U.S. warming hole sits over the southeast as the polar vortex allows Arctic air to plunge into the region, resulting in persistently cooler temperatures. Yeah, this is called the grand solar minimum pattern. This is the glaciation pattern, the glacial pattern, the grand solar minimum pattern. You can call it super La Nina. You can name it whatever you want. But it's cold air falling to Texas and into Mexico sometimes, and bringing the white cleansing rain to Florida. It started this year, guys. We're reporting on it. Now let's get to the Indonesian volcano erupting again, shooting smoke a mile high on Tuesday. Mount Agung and Bali erupted again after having settled into a restful state and them allowing people back. No flight eruptions. I'll leave you links to this. There's more volcanic news to talk about. Mayon eruption continues with decreasing tendency. Here we can still see a lava fountain, clearly. The volcanic activity has continued with little changes, but shows a decreasing tendency. I hope they don't let people go back here. We just saw what happens. Bad things happen when you let people go back near bad volcanoes. Now, a recent gas measurement suggests strong decrease in sulfur dioxide output from the volcano, which would suggest a beginning exhaustion of the magma supply. On the other hand, GPS and tiltimeters continue to see inflation and swelling. So it could just be a different type of phase of eruptive behavior. And I wish everyone didn't claim to be such an expert, because lives are at risk. Furnas volcano, news and activity. This is in San Miguel Islands in the Azores. There has been an earthquake swarm and an uptick in activity in one of the most dangerous volcanoes in the central Atlantic. This is in fact where Atlantis used to be. And if we drop sea level 400 or 500 feet, it would expose a circular island chain exactly in the position of where Plato said Atlantis should be. Based on my studies, this is where I believe Atlantis is. And this is still the top of a peak of a volcano at the center of Atlantis, which is now called the Azores, which there is a huge flurry of activity here. Let's take a look. Look at that. There's the volcano. Here's the seismic uptick. We could have a new cinder cone, but this is part of a huge caldera complex. So if we come down here, you can see at the moment the activity is continuing but decreased significantly, thankfully. It's unclear whether the earthquakes are volcanic in origin or not. You could see how they were to the east of where the volcano is, but we're going to get into what this actual cinder cone and what this volcano is. Because Furnas volcano eruptions in 1439 to 1443 and another in 1630. The one in 1630 was of the most significant, causing damage and fatalities during a very sparsely populated period in this area. This is a major player. Look at the size of the caldera here. And according to the Smithsonian, the eastern wall of the 500-meter deep caldera at Furnas overlaps the western wall of the Povaco caldera of Nordeste volcano. The volcanic activity at Furnas dates back 100,000 years. At least 11 trachytic pumice layers, all erupted during the past 5,000 years. Post-date the caldera. The most prominent post-caldera feature is the Pico de Gaspar lava dome, east of the Lagoa des Furnas caldera lake. A zone of late Pleistocene and Holocene basaltic and trachytic cinder cones and lava domes is located between Furnas and Agua de Poix volcanoes. 2 historical eruptions have occurred at Furnas. One sometime between 1439 and 1433. Here during the Little Ice Age, 1439 and 14, right here, causing this temperature drop. Furnas causing this temperature drop here, which is significant. That's almost a half a degree C because of Furnas right here. This drop down right here, Furnas. And the other in 1630. So, Furnas, again, dropping temperature. Furnas is helping spawn the Maunder Minimum here. And beginning the onset of the Maunder Minimum and beginning the deepening of the Little Ice Age. Furnas. So if there's anything that we want to be looking at, it's Furnas. The latter, the 1630 eruption, was one of the largest Holocene explosive eruptions in the Azores and caused significant damage. Whew, thank God I studied all those years at the university just so you people could be well informed about the multidisciplinary nature of paleoclimatology. You need to bring together volcanology, seismology, stratigraphy, paleontology, planetary geology, and that's really what's key. You need to go outside of the planet that you're on into the solar system to really understand the cosmogenic nature of climate shifts in the system, the solar system, the sun being the driving factor of everything, including the electrical nature of your biological entity. Japanese supervolcano we were the first to report on probably anywhere. The Kikai caldera, located south of Japan's main island as a major threat on the oncoming grand solar minimum, is now being reported on in the mainstream. Thanks, Joe. Japanese supervolcano could erupt and kill tens of millions. Now, we're not fearmongers, but the media certainly is. But this is the truth. And a group of scientists, including us, have discovered evidence of a giant lava dome existing under the remnants of an ancient underwater volcano that we showed you the seismic profile and have some of the greatest coverage. It just happened a few days ago, so please look up the video for Kikai caldera, which is in the title, just a few days back, if you want to learn a little bit more about this volcano. Plus, I'll leave you links to Joe here. We got to go on. A lot to talk about. Worldwide volcano news update. We got Fuego, volcanic ash, Popo today, Mayon, and Aoba. Ongoing volcanic ash at Reventador. According to social media, there's a volcanic ash advisory on Popo and small-scale ongoing eruption at Aoba. Mayon volcanic eruption reported just hours ago. Record highs within reach, followed by threat for snow. This is the Boston area, and this is the grand solar minimum setup for crop failures starting this spring and summer. When these waves of cold and hot, it's going to be 61 degrees on Thursday, followed by snow. This type of fluctuating sinusoidal pattern of the polar vortex dipping into the northeast is going to cause the crop failure as we move forward. And we're seeing the pattern manifest in the weather. Let's talk about space weather and the long duration C1.5 flare produced by the producing an Earth-directed CME. We reported on this right when it happened. And now they have it up on the Enlil spiral, and we can see that the impact of this Earth-facing flare here, look at it, is going to be coming midday UTC 14th. It's a day and a half from now, from when I'm speaking. No, that's actually midday tomorrow. My bad. Happy Valentine's Day. So the CME is predicted to arrive sometime during Valentine's Day. I'll leave you links to this. Excellent article from the Watchers. Big heads up. Support those guys. Awesome resource for Earth changes as we move forward. Here we are at the Space Weather Live, the WSA Enlil spiral. And they have it up here predicting to peak here. So the main plasma density wave will be coming sometime in the next 12 hours, according to the predictive models. And unfortunately, that is going to maybe overlap. Real quick, let's come to the sun. I have some awesome video cut of the last 24 hours on our star. And we can actually run through this on loop, and you can watch the solar flare. So this is the long duration C1 that's coming directly at us. And then right behind it, guys, we have this massive coronal hole. All large volcanic eruptive events, not eruptive, my bad. All large earthquakes on Earth predominantly are associated with coronal holes in this equatorial region. And this is a massive coronal hole in an equatorial region that's going to be Earth-facing. Now, coupled with the arrival of this C flare. So as this geomagnetic storm from this long duration C1 hits us tomorrow, and we go into low-level geomagnetic storm, it may coincide with the arrival of this coronal hole stream. And that could be, we could have some minor grid failures and other interesting phenomena occurring tomorrow night that we may be reporting on. So that's a heads up. But you should be watching the KP starting tomorrow afternoon for any wacky things that may be occurring due to this solar minimum event that we're witnessing. We have a seismic event happening live here in 4.7, 219 kilometers northwest of Indonesia at a shallow depth. The only other earthquakes of note, 5.5 in Dobo, Indonesia, and a 5.0 in Papua New Guinea. Now let's talk about the solution. Guys, I had a really great Skype today with some friends of the channel over in China. And over here at Three Canyons Permaculture Farm, we're going to be installing some of the solar solutions. You already know about our geothermal greenhouses that we're making that are rigid, handmade by yours truly. But we're looking at importing some interesting Asian designs, especially in China, where they use this solar greenhouse design with this insulated fabric where you can make these gigantic systems for very little money. So we're going to be implementing them here at the ranch and testing them next year. And we're going to be offering them out to the public so that everyone can grow massive amounts of food on the cheap. It's kind of like an erector set, easy to set up. We're going to be supplying you with details. I'll leave you links to the solar solution here. They're doing some research in Manitoba. And here, greenhouse interest is heating up in Manitoba. Same greenhouse here, another one. Here's Jeannie's greenhouse. And they have thermal blankets, and it's really an easy setup. Here's the inside. Look at the amount of food is growing in here. They're Manitoba's only certified organic greenhouse operator. But we're talking R50 in the rear wall. They were using sand in some of these. But we're going to be giving you some updates as we talk to the supplier and we get details on how this is going to be offered to the public and how we're going to implement it here at the farm. Here's a paper, Winter Performance of Solar Energy Greenhouse in Southern Manitoba, based on that design greenhouse that we will be actually procuring here in a massive style. It's going to be a solar greenhouse that has mushroom rooms on the back side. So there's a lot to be talking about in the near future. Let's quick talk about Robert Felix. We just talked to him today, and he's down for an hour on our radio show. So he's one of our first guests. If you don't know who Robert Felix is, Not by Fire, But by Ice, one of the original books on what's coming. Now, we're both Milankovitch scientists, so we believe that this is the sea level drop period where we're headed into major glacial cycle for tens of thousands of years. But we're also going to be talking about grand solar minimum on the channel. So Robert Felix, Not by Fire But by Ice, discover what killed the dinosaurs and why it could soon kill us. That's pretty alarmist, Robert. Let's talk about our slot here on Revolution Radio. And guys, thanks for all of your suggestions for the title of the show. And I think by listening to all of you, I marinated on it. And I think the show's going to be called this: Cosmic Climate Catastrophe, Prepping for the Grand Solar Minimum. And this is our picture. It shows the universe here providing the cosmic rays. Here's the nucleation, evaporation, charged particles, new cloud formation. Boom! Grand solar minimum. Much. And that's going to be right here. If you like the title, tell me you like it. If you hate it, tell me you hate it. But Cosmic Climate Catastrophe, Prepping for the Grand Solar Minimum, Wednesday nights 10 to midnight. Starting February 28th, our first guest is Robert Felix, Not by Fire, But by Ice. Remember, this Friday, from Observing the Frontier in Albuquerque, New Mexico, we'll be live for 3 hours on Freedomizer Radio, Clarity After Dark with Scarlet Anonymous and co-host Red Gypsy. Join us. There'll be links below to all of this. And that's a heads up. Guys, I hope you got something out of the video. It's past my bedtime. We're working on a lot of amazing things here at the ranch to help you guys learn how to survive and thrive in the future. We may have a few years to prepare. We may have a decade. But if you don't start now, you won't be ahead of the game. Prior proper planning prevents piss poor performance. Where we're headed, and it's down. The mainstream is now admitting it. The narrative has changed. And it's time to start preparing, because if the financial collapse happens this year and inflation occurs, you won't have the money to buy the materials you need to properly prepare. Look what's happening in Venezuela. So start doing everything you can, buying seeds, small amounts, rice, dried beans, things you can do to secure the welfare of your family. We love you all. Thanks for our supporters. Be safe. See you Friday.